hag, bird, babe, bitch, milf, lass, totty, bimbo, chick, floozy, doll, and split arse are all words to describe the wonder that is woman. To understand woman, we have to go back to the beginning. The very beginning. This is how it went down. And is taken as gospel from the big book of bollocks that is the Bible. The mythical sky fairy, God, created man with beautiful long brown hair and pristine white skin, which, to be honest, is a tad unlikely considering where the Garden of Eden was supposedly situated. Anyway, don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. So man, or Adam as he was named, had the Garden of Eden to himself. Loads of food, loads of animals, but more importantly, loads and loads of apples. So Adam made a batch of scrumpy cider and got totally wankered and started to ride around on various livestock in rodeo fashion. Although rodeo had not been invented at this point. Adam was living the dream. God saw this and thought, "Whoa, man, he's taking the piss." Whoa, man. This gave God an idea. And even though God had spent 6 days creating everything, oh yeah, everything, even giraffes, why would you, the weirdos? He put Adam to sleep to hatch his plan. Whilst sleeping, God took a rib from Adam and made woman, so that Adam had a companion, someone to look down on, someone to laugh at, as opposed to laughed with. Or more's the point, somewhere other than an animal for Adam to put his winky in. The fall of man came exactly at the same time as the creation of woman. Coincidence? Woman was named Eve, and Eve soon got pissed off with Adam's cider-swilling benders and his bestiality leanings and his relentless snoring. So Eve made friends with a talking snake. Of course she did. The snake told her to eat the apples from the forbidden best scrumpy tree. Oh, she did. Not only did she even forced a core down Adam's neck. As this was a forbidden tree, God, you know, the mythical sky fairy, he threw a right tantrum. He went fucking nuts and banished them from the Garden of Eden. Adam now had nowhere to live and an extra mouth to feed. Survival was regarded as a blue job and designated to Adam, being that he was a man and man was stronger and quicker than a woman. And because Adam was a man, his brain was both superior in size and had the capability to think, and indeed to do two things at the same time. Eve was given the pink jobs. Chores like keeping the tidy cave, making herself look sexy for Adam's return. But on Adam's orders, never, ever to shave her armpits, as he really, really liked that look very much. Even though he'd never been to Germany, as Germany had not been invented at this point. As Adam and Eve had no belongings, they needed cheap accommodation, so they moved to Norfolk, a place naturally to have loads of children, who in turn went on to have loads of children, who in turn went on to have loads of children. A tradition that still goes on to this very day. And if you don't believe me, go to Norfolk and see for yourself. Mankind would never be the same again. For thousands of years now, women, or woman plural, have tried in vain to be equal to man. History is littered with women who, like Eve, just could not help themselves when it came to carnal thoughts of greed and desire, backed up with the full knowledge of how to get their own way. Take Cleopatra, for instance. She spent forever in denial. You see what? Anyway, even though she was married to her youngest brother, yeah, because that's normal, isn't it? She still ended up shagging Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar. Initially, Julius was not interested in Cleopatra, but Cleopatra's brother husband, yeah, you heard that right, had led her into a secret as to the location and the manipulation of the male G-spot, or the prostate gland, which is located in the anus, bizarrely. Picture it. Cleopatra sharpened the longest of the two index fingers' nail and treated Julius to a bigger eruption than Vesuvius. And we know how that ended up. Julius married her the next day. Well, you would, wouldn't you? Another one of history's, shall we say, tarts, is the so-called Virgin Mary, who had a kid to someone else, blamed it on the mythical sky fairy, and ruined Joseph's life. Indeed, even Mary's boy child, Jesus Christ's life, was ruined by a floozy called Mary Magdalene. Although, in his defence, Mary was a top prostitute and had a particular flair for pegging, and was a dab hand in the ancient art of the reach around. Some women in history defy the patriarchy and refuse to be identified purely by their gender alone. This being true of world-famous aviator Amelia Earhart, who in June 1937 attempted to be the first person to single-handedly fly around the world. She was reported missing in July 1937 and declared dead in 1939. Rumours of Amelia's demise circulated that she got all confused and agitated because she forgot she had to park the plane. So she most probably crash-landed in the Pacific as an easier option. Even though there are always and always will be only two genders, the female body and the female mind are very, very different to that of their superior male counterpart. First obvious difference is the lack of Adam's apple, which is a bit of a giveaway if you happen to be travelling, say, through Thailand and come over a little confused and have unfamiliar stirrings. Woman's mind is unbelievably different. They have no capacity to understand humour. Quite ironic when God took a rib from Adam but didn't give her a funny bone. Take Miranda and Dawn French as just two examples. And then there's their bodies. At certain times during a woman's life, they will bleed. And bleed. And bleed. And bleed. And bleed. Until such a time that they won't bleed. And then they have something called a menopause, which is very, very funny for the man in her life. But alas, the laughs soon turn to despair for the poor, distraught, long-suffering male, and he has no alternative but to find another mate. One younger, perhaps, whose downstairs plumbing is still intact. One that hasn't bore a child or had a head through it yet. One who doesn't need the heating on during fucking summer months. One, preferably, who knows when to shut up long before it comes to the inevitable and justifiable domestic violence. In the game of Scrabble, the word woman amounts to 10 points, as do the words lunatics and nutcases. Coincidence? I think not. So what of today's woman, and indeed tomorrow's? Today's ideal woman is actually a man, or so you would be led to believe. We have female astronauts, scientists, doctors, lawyers. All of the armed forces have females represented, although it is an unwritten rule that no ladies may drive the tanks or be on a submarine. The latter due to the fact that oxygen levels are at a premium underwater, and any females aboard would quickly use up said oxygen supplies with their inability to shut up talking shite for more than 5 fucking minutes. Even in the animal and insect world, there are distinct contrasts in male and female behaviour. Take the love ritual of the praying mantis. The male praying mantis approaches a female, very excited. He flaps his wings. He sways his abdomen, bit like a bloke in a nightclub. Once he is on her back, he begins to mate. You would think, oh, that's nice. But no. Before he gets onto the vinegar strokes, she bites his fucking head off. Can there be a more shining example of how opposite in thinking and how aggressive the female can be? Well, yeah, there was a clue there. It's the honeybee, or queen bee. The queen bee has at her disposal one sting in its lifetime, and once the sting has stung, the female dies shortly after. There you go, right fucking there. Absolute no logic at all, just all-out aggression. In contrast, the male bee has no stinger, yet have a larger antennae and much larger eyes. Presumably to see the pollen-popping nutcase coming at him and have at least a fighting chance of twatting her off. Unbelievable. There's a famous novel called Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Here are just a couple of quotes from the book. Men argue for the right to be free, while women argue for the right to be upset. Men want space, women want understanding. And here's one from me, alrighty? This is one of my own that sums up the male psyche, okay? Strap in. When sex is good, it's fucking good. But when sex is bad, it's still pretty good. You can have that one. So that's the unofficial, official history of woman. And sitting here in 2024, looking into the future, what will the woman do next? Will she park a car correctly? Probably not. How come, right? Women can apply makeup perfectly without the aid of a mirror, and yet don't have the ability to park a car with 3 of the fuckers. Baffles me. Will women ever smash the patriarchal glass ceiling? Certainly not, as it would then require both a roofer and a glazer to repair the damage, both of which are male-dominated occupations. For the very good reasons as, whilst the said repairs are taking place, it is imperative for morale that bants or banter is present. And as pointed out with Miranda and Dawn French, women and bants do not go together. And so, unlike a woman's scorn, we come to the end. I'd like to thank you for watching. This has been an STD production, which stands for Summits to Do. On a serious note, if you have been affected or offended by any of the content in this video, fucking grow up.